Hi everyone!
Hi everyone!
So, we hope you're enjoying the sun today. It's really hot here already, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've been looking at some of your story thoughts on the Padlet, and we really like seeing them. Zach, we don't like red wee wee either. Now today we've got a story called Once Upon a Time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Amelia's got another wobbly tooth she wants to tell you. Once upon a time. By 8 o'clock, the little Karoo was starting to bake, sending the scent of wild herbs into the dry air. The dirt road to Hopefield, straight as a ruler, stretched on forever. Sari knew the road well. She walked along it every day to school and back again. The long walk did not bother her. She was a dreamer and her legs were strong. It was school that bothered her. Oh, so she's got a very long walk to school, which she likes, but she doesn't like school.
I kind of didn't like school yesterday.
Yeah, and sometimes we do, don't we? Sometimes we might not like school. Sometimes we might not want to come.
When I was thinking that I was too tired to go to school because I wanted to sleep all day.
And sometimes it happens, doesn't it? And the same as people who are still at home, sometimes it feels like you don't really want to be joining in with things. And that's okay sometimes. Sometimes we just need a day off. But sometimes,
I was a bit tired.
if we join in...
I was a bit tired because I need to sleep.
Yeah, but then when we get to school and when we start our things that we're meant to be doing at home, then sometimes that feels even better, doesn't it? When we keep trying, persevering. When Mr. Adonis said, "Children, take out your reading books," a sick feeling would grip Sari, making her hands tremble and her voice disappear. Sari hated reading aloud in the class. Sometimes it's scary to read in front of people, isn't it? You might get a bit worried.
I'm scared because everyone's surrounding me.
Yeah, but what can we do? What could we tell Sari to do if she's feeling worried? What could we do? Can we make sure we're not fiddling? What could we do to help Sari? If you're feeling worried about reading in front of people, what could you do, Phoebe, to help?
Keep on trying and persevere and don't be scared.
Yeah, sometimes if you just really try, that works, doesn't it? If you think, I feel scared, and that's okay, but I'm going to try anyway, and then it might work. Etty, what would you do if you were Sari?
I was watching Paddington a long time ago, and it was a long one, and Paddington was scared when he was dancing.
So what did Paddington do?
And then he just slapped his face and then he walked out.
Oh, well, that's not what we'd like to tell Sari, is it?
Yeah,
That might have worked for Paddington.
I watched it.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it did slap.
Well, that might work for Paddington, but that's not how we want to do it, do we?
No. So
What do you think at home? Could you tell the person you're watching with? What do you think Sari could do? And everyone in class, can you remind me what we do if we have an idea? Do we shout it out?
no.
We need to put our hands up, don't we?
Yeah.
And do we fiddle with the things on our table? Because Olivia, do you think that makes a nice sound for the people at home who are listening? Or do you think all they can hear is you plopping around with things on your table? Thank you. Olivia, what do you think we could tell Sari to do to help her if she's feeling worried?
She can just listen to the teacher all the time doing this.
Yeah, she could be listening, couldn't she? Because if she's listening really hard, then she might hear that everybody else is doing it too.
She can do this and she's watching.
Yeah. And she could maybe try some of our breathing things that we do when we do our box breathing. Let's see if Sari does any of these things. Those words. So many of them running together, row after row, page after page. They tripped up her tongue. She stuttered and stammered over them. When it was her turn to read, the children in the back row giggled. "Take your time, Sari," said Mr. Adonis kindly. "Take your time, Sari," teased Charmaine and Carmen after school. "Take your time," joined in the smaller children. Only Emile stood back and said nothing. He knew that Charmaine and Carmen were jealous of Sari because she was as pretty as a princess and very smart too. At home, Sari was called the late lamb because she had been born long after her older brothers. Her family all worked really hard hours on the sheep farm, except on Sundays when they rested. After lunch, her father took a nap while her mother sat in the shade of the blue gum tree doing her big loopy knitting. But after a few rows, she would fall asleep. Then Sari would run across the veld to the ridge. That was where old Mrs. lived, and there she would be, sitting in her rusted-up old car waiting for Sari. Then Sari would climb into the driver's seat and pretend to be taking a Sunday drive somewhere, far, far away. As they drove, old Mrs. would tell stories of once upon a time when she was young and her car was shiny. Then Sari would tell old Mrs. everything, how she hated reading aloud, how the words stuck in her throat like dry bread, and how the children laughed at her. "People can be cruel," said old Mrs. "But don't give up, Sari. It's so good to be able to read well and to enjoy books." That's what we said. We said that she needed to persevere, didn't we, to keep on trying. One Sunday, tired of driving, Sari climbed into the back. Dreamily, she ran her hands over the brittle leather into the darkness between the seat and the backrest. Then she felt it. Something was hiding under the seat. She pulled, and out came an old storybook. Sari jumped into the front seat with the book. The cover creaked as she opened it. What do you think this book's about? People at home, pause it here and see. What do you think the story is going to be about? Etty, what do you think her story is going to be about? Oh, you think it's going to be a sleep book? That might be helpful. Amelia, what do you think the story is going to be about?
How much fun is going to be at school?
Oh, a book about how fun school is. That's a good book to read, isn't it? Poppy, what do you think the book's going to be about?
Maybe a book about animals?
Oh, an animal book. We'd like that, wouldn't we? Phoebe, what do you think the book's about?
Brave at school.
Oh, you think she's going to find a book about being brave at school? That would be so helpful for her, wouldn't it? Shall we see if you're right? My goodness, Sari, said old Mrs. Look, it says, "To Lizzie from Mama and Papa. This book belonged to my daughter." Read it to me, pleaded Sari. The old woman shook her head. No, Sari. Sari looked puzzled. Then old Mrs. Mouth crinkled into a smile. We will read it together. Once upon a time, the wife of a rich man fell ill. It was a lovely story about a beautiful girl, a kind girl, and two ugly and unkind stepsisters. Reading with old Mrs. was fun. In some parts, Sari read alone. Then, just before a word could trip her up, old Mrs. would join in until the story ended. So Cinderella married her prince and lived happily ever after, kind and smart. As the sun dipped behind the ridge, old Mrs. closed the book. Sari felt too happy to speak. It's your book now, said old Mrs., patting Sari's hand. Next Sunday, we will read it again. Did Sari get worried about reading then? No. Did she give up with her reading?
No.
Did she say it's too difficult, I can't?
No.
No.
And she just done it.
The next day, Sari couldn't wait to get to school. She wanted to show Mr. Adonis her beautiful book. Oh, Cinderella, said Mr. Adonis. Read it to us, sir, cried the children. As Mr. Adonis read, Sari remembered all of it. She could even see some of the words. Then Mr. Adonis asked the children to take out their reading books. Excitedly, Sari opened her reading book, but when it was her turn to read aloud, the words tangled and she started to stammer. Take your time, Sari, said Mr. Adonis. Emile looked at Sari. Her eyes filled with tears as she struggled to get the words out. Charmaine and Carmen giggled in the back row. Charmaine and Carmen aren't being very kind, are they? Sophia, what do you think Charmaine and Carmen could have done instead of giggling that Sari's finding it hard? How could they help and be kind to Sari if she's finding it tricky?
Sit down and giggle.
Yeah, they could stop giggling, that would be good. Is there anything they could say to Sari that would make her feel better? Olivia?
You can say, we'll stop them.
Yeah. Maybe they could tell Sari that it's okay and to keep going. That might be a good idea, mightn't it? When Sari saw old Mrs., she told her all about it. Emile is the only one who doesn't laugh, said Sari. Well, he sounds like a prince, said old Mrs. Then she clapped her hands and said, guess what you can be. She dashed into her house and came out carrying an old evening dress. It smelt musty, but it sparkled as it fell over Sari's shoulders. My princess, said old Mrs. with a low bow. On the Sundays that followed, Sari read her favourite book for old Mrs. The more she read, the less afraid she felt about reading in class. And the less afraid she felt, the better she read. Because sometimes if we're really scared about something, it means that we stop being as good and as confident with it as we could be if we just took a moment to have a breathe.
So she was a princess?
Yeah, well, when she was reading, she got to jump inside the book and pretend she was part of the book. That's why we love reading, isn't it? Because when you read a story, you get to go...
Jump back out?
Yeah, because she didn't really jump in, did she? When you're reading a story, you get to be part of the story. You get to be the people in the book. You get to be able to be part of their story and join in with their story and pretend you're part of that world. One day, Miss November, the school principal, visited the classroom to hear the children read. One by one, they all read aloud. Soon it was Sari's turn. She opened her reading book, and suddenly the old sick feeling came back. What if she made a mistake and lost her place? What if she found her place but lost her voice? Mr. Adonis waited patiently. The class started to fidget. Sari thought about all the words that she had read with old Mrs. She could see them. Lots of friendly letters holding hands to form words that danced and sang together. She could feel old Mrs. beside her. Bravely, she took a deep breath and began to read. How do you think she's feeling, people at home? How do we think she's feeling? Evelyn, how do you think Sari's feeling? She's taken a deep breath and she's going to be brave and read.
Happy.
Why is she feeling happy? Yeah, when they're persevering. Yes, Phoebe?
She might be proud of herself.
Proud of herself, yeah. She's feeling really proud, isn't she? Because she's scared, but she says, it's okay to feel scared. I'm going to try anyway. The words poured out as clear as spring water. You read beautifully, said Miss November. Out of the corner of her eye, Sari could see Emil smiling. After school, Sari and Emil walked home together. Would you like to go for a drive in my car, asked Sari. Emil laughed. Where's your car? I'll show you, said Sari, taking his hand. When old Mrs. saw them coming over the hill, she waved. Come on, let's get going, she shouted. Sari jumped into the driver's seat. Old Mrs. took the back seat so Emil could sit in the front. So you're Emil, said old Mrs. Yes, said Emil shyly. I'm Sari's friend. That's good, said old Mrs. Don't you think she reads beautifully? Yes, said Emil. I bet you didn't know she could drive. No, giggled Emil. Where are we heading for, Sari? Asked old Mrs, settling back. Far, far away. Just before them, the flat expanse of the little karoo stretched as far as the eye could see. Ridges shimmered on the edge of a hazy horizon like faraway castles. And as Sari took the wheel, the air stood still and it seemed almost once upon a time. So, how was Sari feeling at the beginning of the story? Pause it there and see if you can tell the person you're watching it with. Poppy, how was Sari feeling at the beginning of the story when she was reading in front of her friends?
She was a bit afraid.
She was afraid, yeah? And a bit sad too. Yeah, and a bit cross that she felt like she couldn't do. Can you stop shouting out to me, please, Etienne? You need to put your hands up if you've got something to say. Yeah, and a bit cross as well. What happened in the middle of the story that changed things for Sari? What changed for Sari? Because at the beginning she thought, I can't read, I can't do it, it's too hard. What made her feel differently? Pause it there and tell the person next to you. Phoebes, what changed for Sari in the middle? What helped her with her reading? You can't remember. Can you remember, Grace? What happened in the middle to help Sari with her reading?
She found a book.
She did find a book. She found a book she loved. And that's important, isn't it? Because reading matters so that we can read things that we love and that we want to be part of the story. Etty, how did Sari feel at the end of the story?
Happy.
Why did she feel happy?
She's
I can't hear you if you put that in front of your face.
Because she was going somewhere.
Because she was going somewhere? What else made her feel happy, Olivia?
We got itchy.
When she was reading in front of her friends at the end, was she still afraid?
No.
She was a little bit afraid, wasn't she?
Yeah.
But did she give up?
No.
Did she say, I can't do it, I'm not doing it?
She said, I'm just on this.
And what did she do?
She loved that book.
She did. And the book that she loved helped her to read the other books.
Yeah.
Wow, what a lovely story we shared today. Thank you for listening again, everyone. And we're excited to see your thoughts on the Padlet. Can we say goodbye, everyone?
Bye.
Bye.